Hey everybody, welcome back to more Dawn of War. We're going to start on mission 2.
Of Captain Gabriel Angelos. The situation on the planet Tartarus is grim. While the Blood Ravens crushed the main Orc offensive at the spaceport, the bulk of their force is not engaged. They gather in the wilderness, awaiting a critical mass of bodies that will overwhelm the Imperial forces in a green wave of death and destruction. The Blood Ravens will not allow this to occur. Orbital monitoring has detected an area in the southern forests where the Orcs appear to be massing. Orcs only respect strength, so they will look to the largest of their groups to lead them. We will insert a small, covert strike force to eliminate these Orc leaders and destroy any encampments where the Orcs might mass. This should cut to the heart of the Orcs' fighting spirit and delay their inevitable counterattack. We must tread lightly, lest we disturb this slumbering beast.
Great, so you heard him. Let's get right on into it. Yeah, I always have this fear where I look over and I'm like, oh no, did I mute my microphone? I'm like, oh, that'd be horrible if that was the case. But it appears like my microphone is not muted because I'm detecting output. Great.
You have your orders. Now go. And may the Emperor protect you.
I do not care for all this sneaking about.
I know, old friend. You always have preferred the direct approach.
We have the Imperial Guard. Why not send them into battle instead of treating them like glorified shepherds? If we meet the Orcs in force, they cannot possibly stand before us.
We have fought the Orc 100 times before. They thrive on war. A direct assault on them would likely improve their morale, and simply attract more of them. The casualties would be enormous.
What are the Imperial Guard for if not to die for their Emperor? At the very least, we should retain a regiment to remain at our core. We have little support this far out. We would not want to be remembered for our carelessness.
We, old friend? Or me?
We are brothers, Gabriel. You know better than to ask that question. I know what this is about. There was nothing you could have done to save Cyrene.
Do not mention that place again, Isidore. Cyrene was my homeworld. My responsibility. Scout Team 3, do you copy?
Yes, my lord.
The local Imperial waterworks has fallen into Orc hands. If we are to reclaim this area, we must first retake this position. Scouts have infiltrated ahead of you and will assist you in your reconnaissance. If things prove to be more than you can handle, reinforcements will be mobilized to assist.
Getting into position.
Alright, so here we go.
This area is crawling with Orcs. We should infiltrate to sneak past them. Yes, do not get too close. We may be spotted. Any enemy positions.
Your Scout Marine Squad is now invisible to all enemies except for commanders. Keep in mind though, if you are attacked, your invisibility will be broken, and some time will pass before you can utilize it again.
Gathering intelligence. On patrol. Search commencing. On patrol.
Okay.
Scouts here. Scouts.
There you go.
The wretched Zetos are guarding a strategic point. Scout Team 2 is upgraded with sniper rifles.
Scouts in position.
They will make short work of these Orcs.
Command.
So this is, I'm gonna say right now, this is the third time I've been recording this, because the first time I recorded this, I actually got like bare mauled on this mission. I was going through and like I dropped the ball hard and I just got killed. And then the second time I was recording this, I was very tired, and I was just like, I was recording, but I was just like super tired, and I was just like, I was like yawning and stuff. I was like, oh, this won't affect like the commentary too much, and like, it's like, what were you thinking, man? Of course it's gonna affect the commentary. So it was not up to my standards of quality. So I not saying those standards are high. So I just, you know, redid the episode. So if you fun Timbit is a Timbit for you guys. Tidbit.
The enemy is in our sights.
So, and that's it. That's all I had to say for this. You know, for this this commentary. Like the rest of the videos, me could be sitting here in silence playing this game.
Scouts here. Scouts.
So, what we have here is we have scouts. Well, here we have the dirt. Here we have the scouts, which are like the Space Marines, except they're weaker and they're stealthy and they do a bunch of sneaking around. I don't like using them too much, mostly because I'm more a fan of the direct approach. Like, and this is true for most games. Like, I don't like subterfuge or
Wait for them to pass before we attempt to sneak by. Yes, my lord. Getting into position. Yes, my lord.
I think we should be okay.
Scouts advance. We will move ahead and mark any enemy positions. Gathering intelligence.
I think that was too close for comfort.
Yes, my lord. Search commencing. I sense danger.
Wow, okay, never mind. I guess they just walked right through.
Target search commencing. A large Orkanob who looks like he's in charge of this bunch. Commencing infiltration will severely weaken the Orc morale.
Taking damage.
At your command.
Got him.
In the name of the Emperor is dead.
Any enemy
We will take it
positions.
from here.
Commencing infiltration. On patrol. Search commencing. Yes, my lord. The enemy is in our sights.
Well, let's move the scouts over here.
Commencing infiltration.
Actually, the scouts can go die. I don't really want to use it anymore. I would have more Space Marines than scouts. So we're gonna actually send them off to die. Because I'm a very kind guy.
Scouts here. Gathering intelligence. We will take them down.
Alright, there you go. So we don't need to worry about those guys again. And now is where the fun begins. I think technically we should bring the scouts with us, but I don't feel like using them.
My aim shall not
How about using the direct approach, as I was saying earlier? If you watch my videos, you can definitely tell that, oh yeah, like, I like using the direct approach. Even like when I play StarCraft, you know, I don't like doing drops. Well, not like, because I think it's a little extreme. My preference is certainly for, you know, being blunt and to the point. And I think that speaks a little bit to my personality. Not that there was anything wrong with the subterfuge. Like, for example, Metal Gear Solid's a fun game, but even then, I played Metal Gear Solid in a way that wasn't conducive to stealth. Or some people like absolutely love that kind of play style. Like, they like doing not direct assaults, but rather, you know, using less direct approaches. And whatever those may be, that varies from game to game. So in this game, like, they offer the avenues of like stealth, but in most games, I'm not the biggest fan of stealth. Excuse me. If mostly for the reason that, well, I know mostly for the reason, but I'm just not sure what stealth usually adds to games. Like, I feel like in some games they have stealth for the sake of having it. Like, I actually be careful. I don't want you to die. Did he come back? Yeah. So is this boy over here too? No. Okay, so we can just keep using the force commander. I don't need to worry about him dying. Usually stealth, I find, doesn't add a whole lot to the game. Like, they just well, it depends on the game, you know. Like StarCraft 2, like, I'm fine with stealth because it's there, but it's not overpowering. And like same thing for this game. There is the option for stealth, and you can do some cool stuff with it, but it's not the central theme of the game. Whereas, like, say for League of Legends, at least when I played it, I haven't played League of Legends currently, or at least for some time. Like, last time I played was like over a year ago. But when I was playing, like, they had some champions with stealth, but like it didn't really. I think it was more frustrating than it was interesting, and that's where I took issue with it. But that thing is, like, for me, it really, like, again, and I always say this, it's subjective, right? So for me, that might have been irritating, but for some people, it's like, yeah, no, like, it's really cool that, you know, you have over 100 champions, but only, like, say, like 5 of them have the ability for stealth. Whereas, you know, for me, I'm like, well, it's a fringe case, right? Like, I think it complicates the game when it doesn't have to.
Now we must start building a base before we hunt down the rest of the
Enemies of the
orcs.
Emperor still draw breath. There can be no peace.
Let us capture these strategic points and establish a base of operations.
Your instructions.
So let's throw down the command center there. Or the stronghold, sorry. I like how they do buildings in this game too. They just drop them in and they do some minor alterations on them. Like, for me, that makes a lot of sense. Whereas, like, in StarCraft, you just have the SCV plop down this giant building, and then, you know, the rest is history. I wonder if the ship to fly away. Because I know the ship dropped it off, but I didn't realize he was there for such an amount of time.
What's your order?
And once I get some Space Marines, I want to go back, double back, and I want to collect this post here. If at all possible, which I know it is, because like I said, the one time I did this mission, I got completely destroyed. Whoops. Is this ours now? Yes. I got completely, like, just destroyed. But then the other time I did this, I was successful. It's just I didn't like my commentary at all. Well, I guess while we're waiting, let's just mosey on down the ramp. So you build that listening post. Let's build another one. Can we upgrade these? Not yet.
The Emperor protects. He who stands with me shall be my brother.
Alright, well, let's see what's down here. Listening post, we'll try and grab that too. We shouldn't have more enemies coming from the north side of our base. However, that possibility does exist because there's the boys' hut. Orcish nomenclature, and this is very, very amusing. This is part of the reason why I like the orcs, because they are definitely the comic relief of the universe. Alright, what can we build? We can build another stronghold, actually. Dude, should we do double strongholds? I almost like want to do that just for kicks. But we don't have a whole lot of space here, so we won't do that. And that should be almost done.
On alert, brothers. The enemy must be nearby.
Oh, something too that's interesting for RTS games. Like, to play the RTS game efficiently, like, I would be looking at my guys, but mostly I'd be looking at my base and be like, okay, well, now that we have the stronghold down, let's build the chapel barracks here. Yeah, actually, let's throw it here. And then you can build the armory, which will be, you know, or I can't build the armory, but we build a plasma generator, which is hotkey P. But like here it's base building, right? But like this is like how I like, you know, play the game effectively. Whereas for here, it's like I'm confident that my guys can clean up, so I'm not even like giving them the time of day. But yeah, like it's probably more interesting to watch the Space Marines like shoot their guns than it is to watch me like build my base. So I have like this huge conflict of interest, and by say conflict of interest, I'm just trying to play up the tension here. You know, like I'm trying to really like make it more of an issue than it actually is. Where everyone's like, oh my goodness, like I didn't realize that doing a Let's Play on an RTS game is like this huge like conundrum where it's like, yeah, the player has to decide between either playing the game or just you know, entertaining the audience. Like it's like impossible to do both. No, it's not that bad, but like this is more interesting than base management. But the problem is, if I'm not managing my bases, then well, it's hard to get things done. And sometimes, like, you know, I do need to do micro, like, so my force commander dies, so we need someone to, you know, hold the front line. See, now we can just turn back. And, you know, obviously it's not as binary as they make it out to be. You know, do a mix of both, right? So I wash my units for a little bit, but then I also go back and I do some base building. Like, the armory, we want that. R for armory. Keep that in mind.
Praise the Emperor.
Oh, do we not get that?
This day shall be a glorious one for the Imperial.
Okay, well, we'll cap that. Oh, unless the orcs like take it back, which is entirely possible. So we definitely need more requisition. That's something we need to have, you know, going on. So we'll come down here with this Space Marine escort. Oh, can we upgrade the stronghold at all? Yes, we can. Okay, there's a lot we can do here. Let's make you guys control group 2.
We are the Emperor's chosen.
Carry a big gun.
At your command.
Yeah, I need to make sure I actually cap it. I think that's what happens a lot. I start to cap it and like issue another order and then it stops capping.
We stand ready. Taking damage.
Yes, Lord.
Heresy grows from idleness.
On alert.
And then you can build a listening post once that's done.
Mission
Today, the enemy.
Wow, the orcs are sure going at it today. So we'll keep them there while the listening post builds up. And
Yes, my lord. Fear denies faith.
we probably need another squad of Space Marines, to be honest, to take back
Weapons at ready.
the stuff over here. So our requisition growth's pretty good. The growth on our power is sufficient. We don't really need power for here because infantry are very light on power.
We will need more than heavy bolters to defeat these orcs. We must upgrade the stronghold to gain access to the tools we will need to destroy.
Alright,
this
so you come back.
Awaiting
What do we want? Guess we should do the squad cap increase as well. That'd be very important.
While the enemies of the Emperor still draw.
Okay, and they both had their heavy bolters, so that'll be sufficient. There's a lot of orcs here too.
Brother.
We are the Emperor's.
And we'll send these guys over here to do work over there, and then we can build listening posts on all of those strategic points over there. So we're in good business.
The enemy must be nearby.
There's more orcs here than I remember there being last time, and we lost the guys with the heavy bolters, unfortunately, which is not great.
We are the Emperor's chosen.
But okay, so those guys seem to be doing all right. Okay, he's replenishing.
We are the Emperor's chosen.
Heavy bolters should be enough here. And use these guys heavy bolters as well.
My faith is my shield. Today the enemy shall know fear. Today the enemy.
Okay, how are you guys doing?
Follow me.
Okay, they seem to be doing absolutely fine. So it'll be a matter of time before we cut through. Force Commander's gonna die again.
At your command. What is your order? Fear denies faith.
Praise the Emperor.
Cool. Alright, so now we have him back again.
Eyes of the
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, we just gave the commander back and back again.
The monastery is complete. Attack! Sergeants will inspire your Space Marine squads to
Actually,
greater
we should-
deeds of heroism. And rocket launchers will make short work of orc buildings. Praise the Emperor.
Faith is our shield.
I should be careful, actually. I was gonna say, I was saying this earlier, but I don't know how I feel about the, you know,
Yes,
the
my
Force Commander coming back each time he dies. But then I realized, oh, I did this in a previous recording, which I deleted, so I have free reign over about what I want to say again. I thought that's what happens too. Is like legitimate, not legitimate. Like again, it's like, oh yeah, I'm, you know, stirring up the tension when there really isn't any tension. Is this upgrading? Yes, I think it is. Stirring up the tension when there really isn't, but sometimes it's like I lose track of what I've said on like videos or whatever. Like so, for example, I'll be like, oh, I remember I talked about YouTube.
Position add-on.
Well, I'm
This
finished.
upgrade will increase the requisition income and add better defenses to the listening post.
faith is our shield.
On alert, brothers.
Whoa, are you down there by yourself?
Nearby. Space Marines, advance.
Oops, nope. Get this.
Enemies of the Emperor still draw breath.
Faith is our shield. Taking damage.
I was saying, yeah, I remember I was talking about like, YouTube comments last video, but then I also know like when I did some other recordings, I was talking about some other stuff. And sometimes, you know, I forget about the stuff that I've said. And we'll just pull back, you know. Get the commander again.
The Emperor protects. My aim shall not falter.
And that's the thing too. Sometimes I'll be talking and I'll get distracted by the game and I'll forget if I've completed a train of thought. So for example,
Post is now earning
There you
more
go.
requisition, has better armor against enemy attacks, and has a gun emplacement to strike back.
What is your order?
who's doing what? I'll get distracted by the game like that, and I'll forget what I was talking about. And it's like, have I already been like mentioning this?
Commencing attack.
So you guys will come down south and just do work. And so I just, you know, finish my tangent, you know, because I'm all over the map right now.
Here to serve.
It's like, okay, do I like repeat what I said? So like, you know, I try and make, you know, finish my train of thought, or do I just try and figure out something new to say? And I think ideally you start out with like a new train of thought, but like it's hard sometimes, you know, especially if there's something that you want to talk about and you got like halfway through and it's like, okay, well, where did I leave off? And I feel like sometimes in my videos too, I'll be like, you know, I'll say something, it's like, oh, here's point A. I get distracted and I say, oh, here's point A again. But one more time, here's point A, and it's like, well, you said point A 4 times, you know, like, you get the point. And that's part of the challenge that I actually enjoy about doing these commentaries, or like these Let's Plays, is because, like, it's fun to try, like, it's a fun challenge for me. It's like, how can I be interesting yet not repeat myself? Or, like, you know, how do you want to do your Let's Play? Like, and I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way to do it, but, like, again, like, the style I like to go for is playing the game, but then not really talking about the game, but just, like, talking about, like, other things, you know, like, well, things that are unrelated to the game. And, like, that's, for me, like, that's fun to do, and I enjoy that, because, and, you know, I came to that decision because, we should retreat. I came to that decision because I know I was like, okay, what do I like watching in YouTube videos? And for me, it's like, it's very enjoyable when I'm watching the person in question that I'm watching, like, watch them just go on a rant that's like unrelated to the game. Like, so for example, I remember one time I was watching Northern Lion, and he really goes off on cheeseburgers. Like, oh, here's like my opinions on cheeseburgers, and like, it was unsolicited, but that's what made it great. And it's like, well, what did cheeseburgers have to do with the buying of the Isaac? And the honest answer is that they don't have much to do with it. But it was still very interesting, like, to know that personality, or like learn that facet of his personality. And I think, you know, that's why it was so interesting, is people like to know their content creators. Not in the sense that, oh, hey, like, I want to know what they're up to all day, every day. You know, I say, oh, I want to know the social insurance number and all these things. It's like, no, like, they want to know, like, you know, their opinions or their preferences. Like, I think it's just, and I'm like this too, like, knowing, like, hey, what does Day 9 or Maximilian think about a particular subject? Like, I think it allows, it feels like that people can become closer to who they watch by simply, like, just hearing about these tidbits. Like, so for example, if I didn't tell you, like, anything about my life or whatever, or let's use a different example, like, let's say we were talking about, you know, like, Day 9, you know, he did this huge video about my life and how it related to StarCraft, and that's one of his most popular videos, I think. And I think part of the reason people are interested in that is like, oh, like, you know, not only was it interesting, but then they feel like I have, like, the sense of camaraderie of Day 9 because he was, like, he's like sharing real life experiences that happened to him. It's like, oh, I can relate to those. Whereas if he just did strictly, like, StarCraft content, I think he would still be successful, but he would, I don't know if he'd be as successful. Whoa, you guys are dying a lot. And I think telling, like, people, like, being, like, open, I think that helps. I think people really enjoy watching that kind of stuff. And I might be mistaken, like, if you, like, and that's the thing, if you disagree, please, please, please leave a comment down in the comment section below being like, hey, like, you know, I actually like when people just play the game and talk about the game exclusively. Well, and actually, that's just it, though. That's the thing. If you're watching this and, like, you only want to watch the gameplay, that person wouldn't have gotten to this point in the video yet, because they would be like, okay, this guy isn't talking about the game, I want to know what's going on, but he's not doing anything about it. So they just go watch a different video. They do watch a different Dawn of War gameplay that, you know, where the Let's Player's like, okay, here's how you play the game or whatever. Or that might be just it too. Some people might be like, okay, I like it more when they talk about the gameplay, but I also tolerate him talking about tangents. And at that point, if you're that particular viewer, leave a comments down below where it's like, hey, like, talk about the game and your decision making. Because, you know, if I have, like, a lot of demand on my channel, like, for people being like, hey, you should do commentary in this particular way, then, like, I'm open to, like, you know, listening to you guys. I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to do it, which, I mean, that sounds a little pompous, but if you guys, you know, if people were asking for, hey, like, do commentary in this particular way, it'd be like, okay, that's something worth considering.
Today the enemy shall know fear. Follow me into battle.
And I think part of the reason why I usually stray away from explaining my actions in like these types of games, while RTSs I would say are a little bit of a different story, is mostly because I feel that it's like, what is there to say? Like, and I think this is a bit of a narrow-minded outlook on it, because it's like, okay, so what are my game plans for this? It's like, well, I think the objective in most games is to win the game, right? Here, we'll just max on Space Marines. It's like, okay, you can always go deeper into it, right? But mostly it's like, okay, so what I want to do for this game, like, I can simplify it. Like, okay, I just want to kill the orcs and destroy the bases. It's like, well, how do we do that? We get more Space Marines. And, you know, with the Space Marines, we just do, like, we just spend our money, and after... Hello, what's going on?
Marine squad deployed.
Follow me.
I don't know what happened there. My, the inputs were a little bit funky. Like, and that's the thing, you can go from either way. I was like, oh, I'm just spending my money, like, it's really easy. Or I could be like, okay, so, you might notice that I'm trying to make sure my force commander's up front so he can soak up the damage while I have the Space Marines out in the back. And, you know, that's not because the Space Marines are bad at, you know, attacking, but more because they have better ranged weapons, so I want them to be able to do their ranged weapons. I don't want to be engaged melee. Like I think for these kinds of games, and I think for RTSs it's easier, but I can go into like really in-depth analysis about what exactly that I'm doing. It's just in some cases I feel like it's hard to do that level of analysis that I would like to do. Well, not that I like to do, but like I've seen, you know, from like casters or other people playing games. And let's get you guys rolling out with all the stuff.
Today the enemy shall know fear.
Wow, interesting. They hit all the way from over there. And like what I was saying about the RTS games, like for me, I think it's easier to do, like, you know, and that like analysis about my decisions, like, you know, talk about like my gameplay choices or whatever. Because I feel like at least for RTSs, there's a lot going on. You know, like, because there's so many, because it's real-time strategy, right? Like, just by the name alone, it's like, okay, well, there's strategy elements to the game. Oh, we should get missile launchers.
The Emperor protects.
Should we get 2 minutes? No, we should get plasma guns. Whereas, like, I find for some other games, like, say, like Isaac, or... Yeah, if I play, like, The Binding of Isaac or some other games, the decision-making isn't quite the same level as an RTS. Not to say that there isn't decision-making, but for me at least, and that's, I think that's an important part to say, is like, for me at least, it's like, okay, what is there to talk about? Like, I want to collect the items, get more powerful, and then clear the floor. But that being said, I think anyone who's, like, good enough at the craft could do interesting commentary about what it is that they're doing. Like, and I think that's just it. Say, like, oh, okay, well, there's no decision-making for a platformer. I think that's a narrow way of looking at it. I think you could say, if the right personality, you can make, like, what... You could, let me finish this train of thought. You can make a platform interesting, but that being said, like, I've watched videos where, you know, the less player more or less just stands in a room, but the commentary was so interesting that, like, I was inclined to watch the whole video, because, like, even though he's standing there, like, he's saying so many interesting things, and, like, it's not like he's talking about, like, you know, the political landscape in, like, the United States or whatever. He's just talking about, okay, here's a plan. Like, he made sitting in a room engaging. He's like, we're gonna talk about the strategy behind sitting in a room. And it's like, well, that sounds outlandish, but, like, he pulled it off, and it was a very interesting video. If people ask me, like, what that is in the comments, I'll post a link in the, you know, in the comments below. But until that happens, I'm gonna just be like, but, you know, not great work for myself. And I think that's basically where it is. Like, depending on the personality, like, you can, like, make anything interesting. Like, you could probably make a video where, like, it's just paint drawing, but if you, like, talk about the paint drawing, not drawing, but drawing, if you talk about that, like, I'm sure you can make it interesting. Like, not even just talking about things unrelated to the paint, but if you talk about, like, say, the size of the paint or whatever, that could be I think that could be an interesting video. And that being said, if you guys have a video where you're, where paint's like you have paint that's, drying out, please, like, send me that video. I'll watch it. Here's where I'm being, like, partially facetious, but. And that being said, though, too, even though I think you can have, like, those games where it's like, oh, or those videos where the guy's just, like, watching, or, like, sitting in a room doing nothing and still making engaging, I think having interesting gameplay also helps a long ways, too, because, if I'm droning on about something and you guys decide that I'm not very interesting, then at least there's the game here to, like, capture your attention. Like, here's, like, well, we have all these space marines firing at the orcs. Also, our missile teams aren't firing at the vehicle right now, so we'll focus fire there. Where was it going? I dropped that train of thought again. Like, I dropped it like a dropped combo. Oh, good gameplay, because that way, if someone, like, I'm just drawing on, then people is like, okay, well, at least, I'm curious about what these Space Marines are doing. And, like, vice versa, too. Like, what I was talking about earlier, that's definitely a case where the, commentary, covers for the lack of interest in gameplay. And, like, it can go both ways. Like, and that's just it, too. Like, there's also those videos where it's just the person playing the game, and there's the person playing the game, but there's no other, like, commentary. Like, it's just them playing the game, and people like watching that too. And again, it depends what you're in the market for, and like, expands to more horizons. So, for example, like on YouTube, I watch Let's Plays. That's that makes sense, I guess, too, because, like, I'm doing a Let's Play right now. Whereas other people like to watch, like, cooking, or watching paint dry, or like carpentry. And it's interesting for YouTube too, like how, like, that's changed as a medium. Well, not that it's changed as a medium, but let me go back a little bit. So previously, people would watch television, and they still do watch television. But I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube kind of replaced television, in the sense that people would use that as, like, their YouTube would be their primary avenue for watching content. So, to explain myself, or, well, not even to explain myself, but I guess the question would be, like, well, why do you say that? Which I guess is explain myself. And sometimes, like, I would love to, like, just, like, look at my videos and, like, actually write down the sentences I say, and then, like, logically look at them and just be like, that, like, logically speaking, that didn't make very much sense, so why did I say that? And of course, it's because I'm playing the game. I'm like, oh, let's keep the commentary going, and then I say stuff, and then it's, I'm not actually really thinking about what I'm saying. Like, I am trying to think about what I'm saying, but sometimes I just don't think about what I'm saying, and then I say some stupid stuff, which hopefully people like that, because, I mean, that's just who I am, right? And, well, I'm not, that's almost a tautology, just saying, well, I hope people like watching my content. It's like, well, I think most people are in that camp, that most people would appreciate it if people enjoy what they're watching. As for, like, why I say YouTube could replace TV, it's like, well, for YouTube, you can basically watch whatever you want, whenever you want. Like, you have the, you have the very powerful search function. Like, if I go onto YouTube and I search, bearded man rides a hippo, maybe a bad example, because there's probably no, like, content about a bearded man riding a hippo, but I'm sure I could search that into YouTube and maybe something would show up, like something that at least would resemble a bearded man riding a hippo. Or if I want to watch hippo videos on YouTube, I'm sure there's lots of hippo videos on YouTube, but it's a very specific thing. Like, I specifically want hippos, and I want to watch about them, and YouTube will let me do that. Whereas I go on TV, I could go to, like, the Nature Network and try and find a show about hippos, which seems pretty unlikely, so I'd probably have to settle for, like, an animal documentary and hope, like, that's what I'm interested in. Whereas for YouTube, like, I can just search exactly where I want to. That being said, I think some people do, like, just to randomly browse content, and I think that's where I'm a bit of a unique individual. Like, usually when I do something, or in the case of YouTube, when I want to watch a video, I talk, you
My
know,
faith is my shield.
not that I talk, but I have a pretty good idea in my head about what I want to watch, and I'll search that up.
Space
I'll
Marines,
search up that
advance.
exact thing.
By my command.
Where I think some people they'll watch a video and then on the sidebar it's like, oh, here's some recommendations, and be like, oh, that looks interesting, and they click on it. I mean, I do that too, but normally I think for me it's like, oh, I want to watch a video about a GoldenEye run through or a GoldenEye walkthrough about like the dam level. I want to do that, and I'm not always that specific, but sometimes, or to give a better example, I might be like, okay, I want to watch a Let's Play on Dead Space 2. And then I'll look up a Dead Space 2, guide or playlist, and I'll watch those videos. That being said, it's like, well, if you only watch the things that you want to watch, how do you discover new content in the first place? And that's, I think that's where the disclaimer comes in, where sometimes, yeah. Well, I don't know why I'm saying disclaimer, because I'm really making it sound like it's a bad thing, but sometimes, again, I'll be like, oh, here's an interesting video, or I'll click on Vines, where it's like. Well, not Vines, because that's a pretty specific category of videos.
By my command. Attack.
But I'll be like, oh, this seems like an interesting video, and I'll just click it.
This day shall
Interesting.
be a glorious one for the Imperium.
And I think most people are like that too. And that's the thing. I really hope by me sparking conversation this. Well, I'm not sparking conversation, but talking about different threads. I really hope I can spark conversation in the comment section. I love reading comments. I love reading what you guys have to say. So if you have something to say, please do. And then you might say, well, if you're looking for comments and social interaction, isn't YouTube the wrong avenue for you? And it's like, well, what I want from YouTube is I like creating these videos. I think I've said this before. I like the challenge of doing a Let's Play, because I always have to be caught talking, and then it's not only do I have to be talking, it's can I be talking about interesting stuff? Can I try and make sure I don't stutter, say or trip over myself a lot? And then can I also do interesting gameplay? There's all these different factors I think that go into making a good YouTube video. As for me, it's fun to try and to do that. Oh, we need to get rid of that. So that's why I do the YouTubes. But that being said, creating a community, that would be a lot of fun too. I think try to have a small community, and then talk to the people. Not talk to them, but just being able to entertain people. Being at the center of attention is something I like to do. And it sounds like I've a bit of an ego, which maybe I do. But entertaining people is a lot of fun, and I like being at the center of attention. So. And YouTube lets me do that. Oops. Where I get entertain people, and I get entertain people while playing video games. For me, I've always enjoyed that as a kid. Just I'll be playing a game and someone comes to watch me. That's a lot of fun. It's and then they ask questions about the game. That's a lot of fun too. Although in this case, it seems more likely that people would make comments about something I've said, and that's the thing too. If you have questions about the game, please ask. Because I know I've done I think I've done a very poor job of explaining the gameplay in this. The gameplay in the universe. I feel I've just gone on a tangent. Some people, if they're watching the second video, I have no idea what this is. But then the problem is, I think for this game in particular, there's so much going on, or there's so much lore in Warhammer 40k. There's just so much that I don't know where to start, and that's actually what the reason why I restarted the video in the first place. Well, not the video, but the video series, is because the first video was kind of it was a mess. I was talking about stuff, and then it was I was oh, but then here's the gameplay, and that's kind of I'd freeze up, and then I was okay, I'll start again. I'll start talking about lore, and then. Oh, what's going on here? Get out of here, man. I'd be talking about many different things at once. I'd get pretty overwhelmed. And then that's why I haven't really tried to explain the the game or the mechanics, which is part of the game, or the universe or the lore and stuff, because for me it's just kind of there's like, I don't know where to start. There's just so much of it. Whereas, like, you know, if I have a specific question down in the comments, being like, hey, like, what's up with the Space Marines? And not only can I, like, sit there and think of a response,
Yes, my lord.
but then I can engage that specific question because it's, like, it's something specific. Like, hey, like, why does the Gabriel guy, why does he have studs on his, like, what's up with these little studs on his head? Like, what do they mean? Like, do they mean anything? And then I could be like, well, either A, I don't know, or B, here's exactly, like, what they mean, right? And it's a very specific thing, but, like, how do I know to start up with that? How do I know, like, that's, like, my opening point? So, again, like, that's why I really encourage comments. Comments are a joy. And that's actually the point, too. Well, not the point. I feel like, and that's the thing. I feel like, and now I'm laughing because I'm aware of them doing it. I say things like, that's the thing, or, or like, that's just the point, or I'll say like these, I try and segue to other sentences or lines of thought, and I use inappropriate connector phrases. It's like, well, that's the point, or whatever. It's like, well, there's not really I don't think there was really a point to what I was saying. What I should say is like, well, that's why I like had in the comments there, is so that way I can engage people in the comments if they, you know, choose to do so. And then even if like you just like the video or like just watch it, sorry, that's what I'm saying. Even if you just watch the video, like that's still cool too. Like knowing that people watch your content, like that's a nice feeling that like you post videos on the internet and like someone comes like and just like watches your content. It's like, well, someone that actually thinks I'm interesting enough to like watch one of my videos. That's like a really cool feeling. It's like, wow, like it feels good. And that's why, you know, when people say like ask for subs or like well, not ask for subs, but like that's why when people are like, yeah, like I want to make it big, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's because, you know, it's fun having people watch your stuff. Whereas for me, like, do I want to become big? That's where I would have to be careful, because there's more I should say, but I'm gonna let the cutscene go.
I must speak with the captain.
He is giving the Emperor his praise. Leave him this moment.
Yes, brother librarian. We completed our sweep of the area and can find no more orcs.
Indeed. Tell your squad to move ahead and clear the company's path.
Yes, brother librarian.
I will suffer no trespass.
Interesting. Mission success. What I was saying about becoming a big YouTuber, I was gonna say right now, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's what I want, but then I don't feel like you don't want to trap yourself. You don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to become a big YouTuber, and then like, what happens if I do become a big YouTuber, right? Then I'm gonna have to eat some serious dirt about that. But that's a different tangent for another video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I had fun rambling and playing the game. And again, if you want to leave a comment, please leave a comment down in the sections below, you know, and then I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.